And welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. I'm your host, Matthew. I do have a wonderful show coming for you guys tonight. Great guy coming on board to talk to us about some experiences that he had here in Arkansas, particularly the house he's currently living in. But before we get into the interview, I do want to give a shout out to Gunner real quick. Gunner, he has been working behind the scenes for me, helping me out, doing a lot of editing. Gunner, you're doing a great job, buddy. I appreciate all the hard work you're putting into it. BladeMedia.com. These guys are up there in about north central Arkansas, out in the middle of nowhere. And Blade is doing a wonderful job. He came up with the graphics for us. And again, Blade, I appreciate all the hard work you put into it, man. It means a lot to me. We are going to be at the Arkansas Paranormal Expo this year, October 26th and 27th in downtown Little Rock. Come on down. We'll have the booth set up. We'll have some merchandise for you, some t-shirts, stickers. And we'll be more than happy to do some interviews with you guys as well. And we're going to be there. If you guys have had an incident, you guys have had an experience, something crazy, something cryptid, you don't know what it is, you don't know, you want to talk to somebody about it, give us a shout. Email me, drunkencryptids@gmail.com. Make sure you guys like and follow us. Give us a 5-star rating. Make sure you subscribe. Keep it going. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your enemies. We don't care. Share it because somebody may enjoy it. Somebody may get something out of it. And the more you share us, the more people can hear about us, the more encounters I can get for you guys as well there. But without further ado, I'm going to bring him on board. So tonight, I'm sitting with an old friend of mine, Aaron. Aaron, how are you tonight, buddy?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Man, I couldn't. If there was two of me, I couldn't be happier. I'll tell you that right now. So, but yeah, you've had some. We've known each other 14 years now.
Yeah, going on 15, 16. Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a long while.
And you're probably one of my longest civilian friends, honestly.
Well, I appreciate that.
So, we have been through a lot, I'll tell you that.
Yes, sir, we have.
I still like our Vegas trip.
Yes, the Vegas trip was fun.
Yes, yes. And if I ever get a chance to get our buddy Terry to play the recording, I swear I won't lose it.
That was great.
That was the whole entire highlight. That and the vinaigrette that made everybody sick but us.
Yes, exactly.
Because we did not do the vinaigrette. We did the ranch.
We did.
Everybody got vinaigrette on. So we got the company that we used to work for. We actually won a trip, and there was 3 of us. And so they were doing an award ceremony. It was to Vegas. And they were doing an award ceremony. And they were doing a dinner and presenting awards and such. And everybody got their dinner salads. And everybody got this raspberry vinaigrette dressing on their salad, except for me and Aaron.
Exactly.
We got the ranch, and we were supposed. It wasn't Blue Man Group. It was another show they were putting on that we were going to go to. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it was the little Chinese guys that dance. What was their name?
I can't remember, but it was a show, and we were all on the bus to go, and people started getting sick. Remember?
Yes.
So we missed the show because of the dates that we had with us because of the vinaigrette dressing. I will never forget that. That was hilarious. The vinaigrette dressing was great.
Life lessons learned.
Oh yeah, and of course our every other morning's coffee before we went to work. We'd leave the shop and drive over to a coffee shop, and we'd sit there for about 30 minutes drinking coffee.
Yes, we would.
Yep. Until they started tracking us.
Yeah, good times.
It was good times. It was a lot of fun. We've been through a lot together. Well, brother, you got some experiences you want to share with everybody tonight.
Yeah, I do. So I want to give you a little bit of background history on the house that I'm in. It might be kind of boring, but I think it'll help you understand everything that I'm experiencing now a little bit better. So the house we're in actually belonged to my wife's grandparents. The house was built back in the 30s, and her grandfather purchased it in 1954, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. And when they started having children, he started building onto it. So this whole house he built himself, and all the wood, all the brick, the masonry, everything came from reclaimed wood, reclaimed buildings. If there was an old building in town that was needing tore down, he would bid on that building, and he would save all the scrap wood. He would save all the brick. They would clean it up, and he would build onto this house. And it is now a 5-bedroom, 2-bath house. He was a carpenter by trade. He was actually a steel worker, and he worked for many, many years. He lived in New York for several years building skyscrapers. He built a lot of the buildings in St. Louis, and he was also the foreman over in Memphis for Mud Island.
Real quick. So, explain to people who might not know what Mud Island is. What is Mud Island?
So, Mud Island is on the banks of the Mississippi River, and it's just kind of like a little tourist attraction. They've got a sandbar there. It's basically built on sandbars that you can walk out on. They've got little shops and little eateries and things like that. There used to be, I haven't been there in years, but there used to be little things for the kids to do, kind of like a museum type thing. So it was just basically a tourist attraction.
Now, where's this at?
It is in Memphis, Tennessee.
Good old Memphis.
Good old Memphis.
well, maybe it was Memphis.
Yeah.
Sorry. Almost started singing.
You're all right, brother.
It is called the Drunken Cryptids.
Yes, we are. So anyway, just to kind of give you an idea of how much of a genius this man was. So he bought this house in 1954, and like I said, it's now a 2-story home. Went from a 2-bedroom, 1-bath to a 5-bedroom, 2-bath. He never got to finish the upstairs because first he found out he had leukemia, and he got really sick. And then when he started getting over his leukemia, he was actually mowing the yard out here, and a car, or a truck rather, left the road and came up into the yard and hit him. And from that time on, he was pretty much bedridden.
Hold on. The poor guy was cutting his grass, and a vehicle jumped the yard and ditch and hit him?
And hit him, yes.
How does that... Well, it's Arkansas. But, I mean, how does that happen?
Arkansas. Yeah. So, and, when he built this house, this was all woods around here. There was nothing here. And now we've got businesses on all sides of us, businesses across the road, businesses behind us. There's a trucking company behind us.
You're going to hear my dog growling in the background there, Aaron, so I do apologize for that. So, but continue. So if you hear the growling, that's my dog in the background.
Okay. So anyway, when he bought this house and everything and started building it, it was actually a gravel road out here. There was no paved roads. This was all woods. And now it's just like a downtown business section. And this is the only house on East Line Road where we're at. And that actually prompted my wife, who at the time was up north running a restaurant. She's a culinary chef, to move back to Arkansas to help take care of her grandfather, because her grandmother and her grandfather raised her. They're like her parents. So, she calls them mom and dad. They were her mom and dad to her.
Yeah.
And so that's how I met her, because she moved back to Arkansas. So anyway, so I knew David when he was bedridden. I never knew the David that could build and do things for himself. When I met him, he was bedridden. He had to be changed. He wore a diaper, wore a catheter, couldn't get out of bed. So she moved back to help take care of him. And that's when we met and started dating. So I would come over and help her, do things around the house for them. And I think, just to let you know how much of a genius David was when he was building this house, I don't know if you've ever built a house before, but you know how you frame it up, and you start building and you build on site. He always built out in the woods. He would build things out in the woods. And then when his two sons would come home from school, he would have everything laid out in piles. And he would say, go get pile 22. And he had everything numbered. And the boys would bring it to him, and he would nail it together, and it would fit perfectly. The staircase that goes upstairs sat out in the woods for 3 months before they put it in the house, and it fit perfectly. He built everything out there, brought it over here, and put it together. And you can walk through the house now, and the rafters and the beams, you can see his handwriting where he had numbered everything for the boys to bring it to him. He would shout out numbers, and the boys would bring him the pieces, and he would nail it up.
That's really cool, Aaron.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, so
because I've never built a house before. I mean, I've been in some odd jobs helping out a little bit, but I've never built a house before. But I'm highly impressed.
Yeah, well, I used to do framework. I used to frame up houses and stuff, and to me, this is just unheard of, because we would be up there and measure and go, okay, I need a board cut this long. And then the sawman on the ground would cut your board, hand it up, and you'd nail it. You never pre-measured everything out there and had it all cut and ready to go. I'm sure there may be some companies that are that good, but I've never met them, and I've never worked with one that good.
Aren't the Amish supposed to be that good?
They probably are. That'd probably be the closest thing to David. David was a phenomenal man. He really was.
I bet David could teach the Amish a thing or two.
He probably could. Well, anyway, another thing I'd like to tell you about David, he was always a jokester. He was always playing pranks. And if you can imagine a man, a steel iron worker who walked beams, hundreds of feet up in the air, all of a sudden not being able to wipe his own butt, that's got to be just devastating mentally as well as physically. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
But he was never, ever down on himself. He always had a smile on his face. He was always cracking jokes. Just a phenomenal man. And I mean, if it's not too gross or too obscene, I can give you a few examples of the kind of humor David had.
Sure.
There was one night, me and Kim were just dating, and her grandmother calls her, and we were watching a movie, and her grandmother calls her and says, hey, she's bawling on the phone. I hate to bother you, blah, 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 but David fell, and I can't get him up. And this is the very first night that I ever met David and Nettie, her grandmother. So she hangs up the phone. She says, hey, I've got to go to my grandparents. Do you want to go with me? And I said, sure, I'd love to meet your grandparents. So on the way over here, she's explaining to me that her grandfather's bedridden, and somehow he has fallen, and we've got to go pick this man up, right? So we get to the house, and they had one of these little porta potties, that sits in the living room, like the little portable toilet.
Yeah.
And the man could stand, but he couldn't walk or anything. So Nettie would bear hug him, stand him up, twist him around, sit him on the toilet so he could do his business, and then clean him up, bear hug him, pick him up, spin him around, and lay him back in the bed. He could stand for just a little amount of time, not long enough to do that.
Yeah.
So we walk in. Can I cuss?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So we walk in. They're sitting on the floor.
If you do, I'll just have it edited out.
Okay, I'll try not to. So they're sitting on the floor, back to back. She has sat down on the floor and leaned her back against his so that he can sit up and have some relief from sitting in the floor. He is naked from the waist down. She has tried to put him on the toilet to do his business. There's crap all over the floor.
Oh, no.
There's crap all over them. He fell, and she didn't have the strength to pick him up. So we walk in, and Kim goes, oh, my God, what are y'all doing? Without missing a beat, David says, oh, we're just having a mud wrestling match. I think I'm winning. So I get the man, we get him cleaned up. I help get him dressed. I pick him up. I put him back in his bed. And Kim introduces us, and he says, well, Aaron, it was nice to meet you. Next time you come over, I promise I'll have some pants on for you. So, and I mean, now, just cracking jokes left and right, smiling. I mean, I would be so embarrassed and devastated, and I'm sure he was, but he never let you see that, you know.
He handled it with humor.
Exactly. And then there was another time. So the company we used to work for, Matthew, when I would, you know how late we would come in at night, and I would have to drive from Little Rock home. Never failed. Once I got in with the family and they knew me well enough, they quit calling Kim, and they would call me, and it would be, hey, are you on your way back from Jacksonville? And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd say, well, can you stop by here, da-da-da-da-da? You know, and they'd have little odds and ends things for me to do 10, 11 o'clock at night, you know. So one night I'm driving home. I get a phone call. It's Nettie. Aaron, can you stop by here? I really need some help and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sure, I'll stop by. So I stopped by, and so David wore these, what's called a condom catheter. I don't know if you know what that is. It looks like a condom. You slide it on, and it has a tube that goes into a bag.
Okay.
And that's how he urinated. Okay, so it kept slipping off. The condom catheter kept slipping off, and he would wet the bed. So she said, Aaron, I'm so sorry. I know this is embarrassing for you, but this keeps coming off, and I can't get it to stay on. And, of course, David's griping at her. It had an adhesive that you put on and then slide the condom on, and the adhesive is supposed to stick to the condom to not let it come off, right?
Right.
So she's slathering him up with this adhesive and then trying to roll the condom down on there. Well, I've got my medical gloves on, and I'm holding the man by his member while she's trying to slide this condom on him. And he's griping at her. Well, there's the problem right there. You've got too much adhesive on there. It's a little goes a long way. You're putting too much on there. That's why it's sliding off. It can't dry and stick. So she pulls the condom off, and she starts blowing it to try and dry it up some. He dies out laughing, and I'm over here red-faced, and I'm like, David, what is so funny? And he says, don't worry, Aaron. I will never tell anybody that you helped my wife give me a blowjob.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So this man, he was just a great man, and he had a sense of humor about him. I mean, he was hilarious. He was smart. I loved him to death. And sadly, he passed away in January of 2013. And that's where my story's going to start. So David passed away January 2013, and almost the very next day, Nettie starts calling us. I think there's people in my house. There's someone in my house. Well, she started kind of having the onset of dementia, so that's what we chalked it up to. You know, and she was living here by herself. And we'd say, well, what do you mean there's people in your house? Well, I hear people talking. I hear people upstairs. There's somebody upstairs. Of course, we'd come over. We'd check the house. There's nothing here. You know, and we just chalked it up to, well, you know, she's got this dementia, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and she's losing it, you know. So also there was a blue jay the day after David died. This is a huge blue jay. And all day long, from sun up to sundown, I'm not kidding you, he would fly into the bedroom window and just bam, 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 over and over, all day long.
Okay, so the blue jay was flying into the bed, to the closed window, obviously.
Into the closed window.
Did it die?
No, it does. It did this every day until Nettie passed away in April of this past year, 2023. The day that Nettie passed away, he quit banging on the window, and he's never been back, and we've never seen him since.
Okay, that's odd.
Yeah, so from the day after David passed away till the day that Nettie passed away, and he was still banging on the window when we were here taking care of Nettie, just flying into the window constantly, over and over and over. There's a tree right outside her bedroom window, and he would perch in the tree, he would fly down, bam, 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 hit it a couple of times, go back to the tree. And then this was every day, all day long.
Oh, that's weird about blue jays. I know owls will do that.
Yeah.
There's a certain species of owl that, if it feels like its territory is threatened, even though it moved into the territory and there's a house there, it will attack the house.
Right.
I don't know.
This
I
was
don't
a
know.
blue jay.
I don't know if blue jays do that or not, but that's crazy.
This was a blue jay, big, huge blue jay, and he did it every day, every single day. And you could go in there and open the curtain and just watch him. He'd just slap the window, pow, 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 and then fly up into the tree, and then a few minutes later, he'd come again, all day long.
So would he come down and hit it with his wings, or what would he do?
I mean, full-on body, smack into the window like he was trying to perch in the window, and there wasn't a place to perch. Just smack, smack, smack.
That is weird.
Yeah, head, body, wings, and all, just whap, whap, whap.
I got a buddy of mine that's pretty knowledgeable about animals and stuff, and I'm gonna ask him about that.
Sure.
I'll let you know what he finds out.
All right, awesome.
All right, go ahead with your story.
Okay, so Nettie got sick. Well, I want to tell you something about 6 or 7 years ago that'll go with another part of the story here. So we came over, it was about Christmas time one year, and Kim, whenever we would come over, Kim would try to clean up the house, straighten up the house, catch up the laundry, the trash for her grandmother and whatnot. So she's in there cleaning out the pantry. They have this long pantry. It's probably 14 feet long, and it's just wide enough for you to walk into, a little bit wider than shoulder width, and there is just shelves all down both sides. And Kim found this jar, and it's a plastic jar, kind of a square with a screw-on lid, full of Bob's peppermint sticks. And the peppermint sticks were so old that they had kind of melted in the plastic. They were solid white because all the red had seeped out of the candy, and it was now in the bottom of the wrappers, so it was all nasty and gunky looking. So Kim threw those in the trash because they were old. No telling how old they were. So her grandmother has a fit. What are you doing? Those are still good. We're not throwing those away. So they got into an argument over the peppermints. Of course, Nettie won, and she put the peppermints back in the pantry. Okay. That was 6 or 7 years ago. So anyway, Nettie got placed into a nursing home, and it was just breaking Kim's heart. She couldn't stand it. So we decided that we were going to get rid of our house and move into here with her and take care of her to get her out of the nursing home. So we did that. And while I was here and Nettie was still alive, I didn't have any experiences in the house other than the blue jay banging on the window, every time.
Yeah.
And so Nettie passed away 10 years after David. So she passed away in April of 2023, the day before my wife's birthday. That day, the blue jay quit hitting the window when she passed. All right. Now things get good.
Okay, so 2023 in April.
Yes.
Is when it begins.
For me.
All right. So we're going on almost a year now. For me and my
family. Yeah. So Nettie would always complain that she heard voices.
Right.
People talking out in the garage. She heard people talking upstairs. And we would say, well, who's talking? And she'd say, well, I don't know, but they're calling D. Every time I hear them, they're talking to D. Okay, D is Kim's uncle that lived in Texas. When Nettie got real bad sick and we had brought her home, D had a heart attack and he passed away. We never told Nettie that D passed away because the doctors said not to. They said that she couldn't handle it with her dementia and her health problems that she was having. We didn't think that she would be able to handle knowing that her son had passed away.
Okay.
So she would say, someone's talking to D. Well, D was gone, but she didn't know that. she didn't know that Dee had passed away, and she's constantly saying someone's talking to Dee, and I don't know who that could be. And then she would say, "Don't y'all hear the footsteps upstairs? Someone's upstairs." Of course, we'd go up there, and there'd be no one up there.
Okay, so she's hearing footsteps.
Yes.
You guys weren't hearing footsteps.
Correct.
So she was the only one hearing the phenomenon going on. Why was she hearing it while you guys were there?
No, while we were gone.
Okay,
we would not be here. So we would be at work. We would come home. She would tell us this stuff.
Okay, so while you were there, she wouldn't say, "Did you hear that?"
No.
Okay.
She would say, "I could hear it," and we were chalking it up to her dementia, because she was getting pretty bad at this time. And
yeah, that's a horrible disease.
Yes. So we were chalking it up to just her mind. So probably about a week after she passed away, I could hear my sister lives here with us also. Kim's sister does.
Okay.
She moved back from Florida and trying to get on her feet and everything. So she's staying here with us. So it's people in the house are me, Kim, and her sister, Jennifer, and then I have a 3-year-old daughter that stays here with us. So my 3-year-old daughter, Tinsley, we thought had an imaginary friend. She kept talking to someone, and I call Kim's sister Sis. So when I say Sis, that's who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Jennifer Astor said, "Who are you talking to?" And she says, "That man." Now, keep in mind, my daughter had never met David and knew Nettie for a very short time. So she did not know David. David passed away before she was born. So she told Sis, she said, "I'm talking to that man." And so Sis Astor said, "Well, what's he look like?" She said, "Well, he's got red hair." And they were like, "Oh, well, okay." And, "Well, does he wear glasses?" "Well, yeah, he's old." So
I got to pause you real quick on that comment. Old and glasses. So my little Sammy last night asked me, "Why does every old person wear glasses?" Because I now wear glasses as well.
Right, the better to see you with.
Yeah, and I was like going, well, it just kind of happens when you get old. And she goes, "Well, I'm the only person in the house that doesn't wear glasses." I said, "For now."
Right.
But I was like, he's like, "Really?" I mean, she was just like on a roll last night. Old people wear glasses. I'm like, oh my gosh, kid.
That's great. So,
all right, go ahead.
So all of the pictures in the house of Kim's grandparents, David is not wearing glasses in any of the pictures, and he is bald headed, as I remember him. I never knew the man used to have red hair. He had big curly hair, and it was red, and his nickname was Curly back in the day.
Huh.
So she's talking to a man with red hair and glasses, and he does wear glasses, but he doesn't wear them in photos.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Okay, so so she doesn't know that he wears glasses, and she doesn't know that he used to have red hair. So we were like, aha.
Yeah, we're talking to Grandpa.
Yeah. So that's what we're thinking, yeah. So after Nettie passed away, we're cleaning the house out. I call them hoarders. You know what a hoarder is. They were hoarders. And it's not trash. It's all stuff. They just never threw anything away. They lived through the Depression. They thought everything could be used. There's tons of wood here you could probably build another house with if you needed to, that David kept.
Okay, so since you mentioned that, what's funny about the whole entire hoarder thing, and with, and you mentioned the Depression as well. One, you're absolutely right. To where my great-grandmother, who went through the Depression, she wasn't necessarily a hoarder, but she was thrifty.
Right.
She was able to, she knew what could be used, what couldn't be used, how to use it. And she was about that. And I think a lot of people get confused with, people that were David and Nettie's age, not calling them a hoarder per se. They don't today's generation, and even our generation is not going to really put two and two together, realizing exactly how tough they had it.
Right.
And if you think about it, I mean, if you went through that, I'm not going to lie, you're looking at a can of nails, a coffee can full of nails. I'm going to hold on to that because who knows,
Do you know how many coffee cans of nails and screws are in this garage?
See, I nailed it. I knew it. Because my great-grandpa, same thing. Jars, mason jars in the garage full of that stuff. All that handy hardware stuff that you would need.
Yes.
For repairs, for this, for that. And it just, just kind of shows a different, mindset and mentality from what they went through during the Depression for what we, go through today.
Correct.
So that's a pretty good tie-in there. You did good. That was good.
So the pantry, back to the pantry.
Okay.
A couple of weeks after Nettie passed, Kim decides to clean out the pantry. And she's pulling everything out. These people had 3 or 4 crock pots, 3 or 4 fry daddies. I counted 8 turkey carving sets that had never been opened, all this stuff. So we're donating stuff, we're giving stuff away, things like that. And here's this jar of peppermints on the shelf in there that her and her grandmother had got into it about. And she reluctantly puts it in the trash. I rented a 40-yard dumpster and had it out front, and we filled this dumpster up probably 3 or 4 times, and we're still not through cleaning the house out.
Goodness.
The first time they come and take the dumpster away and dump it, bring it back, and we're continuing putting stuff in the dumpster. Kim starts moving stuff into the pantry. Our cookware, our kitchen gadgets and things. And I'm helping her pull stuff in there, and I look up on the shelf, and there's this jar of peppermints. And I said, "Hey, babe, I thought you were going to throw this jar of peppermints away." She said, "I did." I said, "Oh, was there 2? She said, "No, just the one." And she walks into the pantry, and it's the same friggin' jar of peppermints that she swears she put in a trash bag that I threw in the dumpster on the shelf.
Is it the same peppermints that Nettie threw a fit over?
Yes.
Now, did Nettie ever explain why not to get rid of those peppermints, or just that they could be used still?
No, she just said that they were still good. They didn't need to be thrown away. They were still good. So that jar of peppermints is still sitting in our pantry. We have not touched it since.
Okay, so we threw away the jar of peppermints, and the jar of peppermints is back in the pantry.
In the pantry where it was.
Do you have it surrounded by holy water?
No, we don't touch it. We just leave it be.
That is crazy. How does... Okay, and I know Kim. So, right. I mean, that is... Throw away a jar of peppermints, and it just comes right back into the pantry.
Yeah, it was just there again. The next day, it's just there. And I thought she, for some sentimental reason, didn't throw it away, is what I thought.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Hey, babe, I thought you were going to throw these peppermints away." I did, and her answer was, "I did."
So you only try to throw it away one time?
Yeah.
Man, I'm so half tempted to tell you to throw those away, and I want to know if they come back.
Right.
If they come back, I mean, do you need to send a picture?
I can send you a picture of them, brother. They are sitting on the shelf in the pantry, and we have just let them be.
Here's the picture. Here's the video of them going to the trash. There it is on the dump truck, and here it is tomorrow. Yeah. Oh.
So then we are now hearing the footsteps. We'll be sitting in the den, and we will hear footsteps upstairs. To the point where this house is well built. There's no creaking. There's no settling. I mean, the house was built and finished in the 70s. So it's not settling. It's not creaking. It's not anything. These are full-on legit footsteps to the point where I grab my firearm and go upstairs to check if someone is in my house.
Yeah.
I hear the footsteps. There are footsteps upstairs when we're downstairs.
Is it just one set you're hearing, or?
Yeah, just one set. You could just hear them, and it's not a run. It's just a walk, like a normal walk, like someone's just walking across the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if the house is built in the 70s and stuff like that, you're still going to hear that. Because, the house was purchased, it was built before 54. It was bought in 54. Of course, but the additions he put on was in the 70s, right?
Right.
So even still then, but the older foundations and stuff like that are still going to be the basis of the house. But that's not going to cause footsteps upstairs. Maybe downstairs, maybe it sound like. But upstairs is not going to really, do that.
We have footsteps downstairs too in the old part of the house when everyone goes to bed. So there's 3 bedrooms downstairs, and there's a long hallway that connects the 3 bedrooms. Kim sleeps with my daughter in one bedroom, and then across the hallway, her sister sleeps in a bedroom over there. And they both get up in the morning. Was that you last night, walking down the hall? Because the hall does creak in the old part of the house, which is where they are when you walk down it. And then they'll ask me, were you up last night? And I'm like, no, someone was walking the hall last night. So they hear this almost nightly, someone walking the hall. And Nettie's bedroom is all the way at the end of the hall. And that's where the footsteps always go to the end of the hall. You hear it like someone's walking down the hallway into Nettie's bedroom, and then you don't hear the footsteps anymore once they get in there. And more than once, Kim has said that she's felt like someone has sat on the edge of the bed where her and Tinsley are sleeping. You know how you would feel the pressure of someone sit down?
Yeah.
And she would get up and look to see if it was me coming in there for something, and I'm not there. And this has happened to her 3 or 4 times. Someone has sat on the end of her bed.
Huh. Yeah, the sitting on the end of the bed thing, that's... Well, the footsteps, the upstairs footsteps, I'm going to circle back to that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that happens, you said, daily. The upstairs.
Yes. You can come over anytime you want, brother. We will sit downstairs, and you can hear the footsteps.
Okay.
All upstairs is no carpeting. It's all hardwood floors upstairs.
So what's upstairs?
There's 2 bedrooms, and there's a bathroom. And so everything's built up there, but so the bathroom was never finished. There's a toilet and a tub there. All the water hookups were supposed to have been done. She said that when she was little, she remembers her grandpa taking a bath upstairs, but that something happened to the water heater, and so he had cut the water off to the upstairs. And I pulled the water heater out of the little water closet that goes to the upstairs bathroom, and it is a J.C. Penney water heater, if that tells you how old it is.
Yeah, I believe you there.
Yeah, so it was rusted out in the bottom. So
does it happen? So the footsteps, is there a certain time it happens, or does it just happen?
No, just random throughout the day. Usually when no one's up there, you'll hear the footsteps. And it's funny because there has always been someone with me when I've heard them. I've never heard them by myself. I've always been talking to someone in the den, and the big bedroom is right above the den upstairs, and that's usually when I'm talking to someone in the den is when I hear footsteps up there.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and it's hardwood floors. You distinctively hear footsteps. There's no carpeting up there.
Well, don't challenge me to come and hang out and try and find ghosts in there, because I will.
Come and hang out, brother. You can experience all this for yourself, because it's not like I tell people and then they come over and it doesn't happen. No, it will happen. You can come over, it will happen.
It sounds like me and Jacob are going to have a little road trip and come on up there for a day.
Well, come on, brother. I'd love to have you.
Yeah, we'd love to come on up there. All right, we'll set that on up. That's right, audience. Another ghost hunt in the mix. But, right. Okay, so the footsteps upstairs, downstairs as well, footsteps.
Yes.
Kim's feeling somebody sit on the bed. Is it a big feeling or like a little big person, little person, or?
She doesn't say. She just says it. She assumes it's me, so probably my height, my weight.
Okay, well you're not a big person, so.
No. So that's what she feels like. She says that at first I think it's you coming in there needing something or wanting something, and I look up and there's nobody there.
Oh wow. Okay, so what else we got going on besides the footsteps?
All right, so down in the den, David put in these windows. There's about 4 windows. They're very thin windows. They're probably 1.5 feet wide, but they go from the floor to the ceiling. Okay, to let in light. Big tall windows. So Kim opens these up during the day to let the sunlight in, and she closes them at night when we go to bed. Well, sometimes at night when it's dark, you walk through the den, you think you see someone walking through the front of the house on the other side of the windows, like outside. There's a sidewalk out there.
Right.
And you're like, oh, what was that? You just see it out of the corner of your eye. And the first time I saw it, I thought it was a reflection of myself walking. So I would back up and walk again and look again, and there's nothing there, not even my reflection. So every now and then when you walk through the den, if you walk past those windows, it looks like someone's walking down the sidewalk right there beside you, and it's almost like a reflection, like you see it out of the corner of your eye, like a reflection, like someone's in the window outside, but you stop and look, and it's just nothing there.
I'm gonna bet, yeah, that sounds like maybe you are catching your reflection.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh, it's my reflection in the window.
No, not your reflection. I mean, the entity's, reflection.
Yeah. So
it's like it's walking there with you.
Yeah, so you back up and you look, and you're like, oh, well, no, it's not happening now. It wasn't my reflection. So what was it,
No, that would be one I have to look into on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I know that reflections on glass and the time of day and coming in through the windows and bounce off the walls and how light reflects.
This is usually at night. There's no lights out front.
Oh, it's at night.
It's at night.
Oh.
So the window's dark. So the windows are dark.
So it's like a mirror.
Yeah, so you can't see outside unless you walk up to the window and put your face to the window to look out.
Yeah, you're seeing a reflection of something inside the house with you then.
Yeah, so, but it looks like it's outside, walking down the sidewalk, in pace with you. And it's so much in pace with you that you think it's your own reflection. You stop and look, and there's nothing there. Not even your reflection.
What's really funny is that Jacob had an encounter of seeing something outside the window, like a person walking a dog kind of thing. Almost kind of similar to what we're describing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not here with me tonight, but yeah, he could go into more detail about it. And yeah, that sounds really eerily similar to that.
Yeah. So there's a living room upstairs, in the upstairs part of the house, not upstairs where the bedrooms and bathroom are, but we call it upstairs from the den, in the old part of the house, the old original living room. There's a couch and a love seat in there, along with a piano. One side of the couch, the cushion is pristine. Doesn't look like it's ever been sat on. The rest of the couch, you can tell, has been sat on quite a bit. And I asked Kim one day, why is this cushion so nice and fluffy and the rest of them look like crap, She said, well, that's where Grandpa always sat. Nobody sits there. And I'm like, well, that's weird. How come? And it's not that nobody sits there because that's where Grandpa always sat. It's just nobody sits there,
Yeah.
So I'm at home by myself one day, and I'm tooling around the house, doing a few things, picking up, cleaning up, whatever. I look at that couch, and I'm like, well, I mean, we can sit there, So I sit on the cushion where just David always sat. And I'm sitting there for a few minutes just looking around. and I hear a shuffling behind me. I guess the best way to describe the noise would be to tell you what I thought it was. So when I hear the noise, I immediately lean forward and stand up, because what it sounded like was the picture behind me falling off the wall.
Oh, that's creepy.
Okay, but there's no boom where it would hit the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the sound you're talking about.
Just a sliding down the wall type sound.
Yeah.
So I immediately think, oh crap, the picture fell off the wall. So I'm jumping up so the picture doesn't hit me. The picture's still on the wall. Nothing has fallen. Yet I distinctly heard a falling sound, a shuffling sound down the wall, like a picture was falling.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. So a couple days later, me and Sis are sitting in the den. There's the couch that I like to crash out on, lay on, veg out.
Yeah.
There is a table directly behind that. And Kim has stuff on this table. There's a few old wine bottles. There's a decanter set, things like that you just decor type stuff. So Sis is sitting in the chair in the recliner across from me. Me and her talking, the TV's going. And it sounds like someone takes their arm behind me and rakes all that stuff off the top of that table.
No way.
I jump up and turn around and look, and everything is there. Nothing's knocked over. Nothing has fallen. I look over at Sis, and she's just cutting her eyes at me. She hasn't looked up from her phone. And I say, "Did you hear that?" And she just says, "Uh-huh." She says, "Wait till the crap starts falling off the walls."
Do what?
Yeah. So she's experienced the shuffling noise down the wall herself.
Hold on. So she didn't even look up. She just said, "Yeah, just wait till the crap starts falling off the walls."
Exactly. Yeah, so that kind of unnerved me a little bit. I was like, "Did you not?" Because there's no reaction from her when it happens, and I'm like, "Did you not just hear that?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, like it's no big deal. Like she's heard it a million times. Oh yeah, just wait till stuff starts falling off the walls."
That's creepy.
Yeah.
What kills me is she was just nonchalant. Yeah, just wait till stuff starts falling off the walls.
Yep.
Every day around here.
Yeah, just normal stuff.
Yeah. That's a Tuesday night for us.
Right. So Kim always brings the trash out and sets it in the garage. And then when I go outside to smoke a cigarette, I'll grab the trash and throw it in the can outside. And if it's a Sunday night, I take it to the road because trash pickup's on Monday.
Yeah.
So this just happened last week, she goes over. Okay, so the door to going into the garage leads out of the den into the garage. It's not a door that you would go and buy. David custom built this door. My grandkids call it the secret door because you can't, when you go in, it's a paneling door and it looks just like the walls. So the only reason you know the door is there is because there's a doorknob. It looks like the wall. So the kids call it the secret door.
That's pretty cool.
So the doorknob, I don't know when the doorknob was made, but it was so old, the mechanics of it had broke apart to where the door wasn't closing all the way. The catch wasn't coming out to lock in or anything like that. So I had to replace the doorknob, and that was an all-day thing because this door was custom built by David, and he custom built it basically around this doorknob. So every basic doorknob you would buy nowadays does not fit that door.
Oh,
so
no.
I had a little woodworking to do with it, and finally got it to where it worked. Kim comes down out of the kitchen. She's got a sack of garbage. She opens the door and immediately jumps back. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "That doorknob just turned in my hand."
Ooh.
And I said, "It's a brand new doorknob. I just put it in. What do you mean it just turned in your hand?" She said, "I turned the doorknob and opened the door, and it twisted in my hand back the other way."
Did a spring catch or something, maybe?
No. She said it was a deliberate, like someone was on the other side turning the doorknob.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's unnerving.
So there's tool sounds that come from the garage. The garage is where David did all his little projects. This is where all his tools are, everything like that. I'll be out in the yard, raking leaves, picking up limbs, whatever, and Kim will come out and say, "What are you working on?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm getting these leaves raked up or picking up limbs." She's like, "No, in the garage. What are you working on in the garage?" "Nothing. Haven't been in the garage." "Well, who was out there banging with a hammer?" "Wasn't me. You and me are the only ones here. If it wasn't you and it wasn't me, I don't know. Someone's in the garage banging with a hammer."
You've got a lot of activity.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. And I remember us talking, going, "Well, I don't know if," and now here we are.
Right.
I mean, and that's not to get off the topic of your house, but a lot of people are that way too. Though, is a lot of people don't realize that they're going through paranormal because they're writing everything off.
Right.
And they don't. To where it is, I fully believe that it's all around us more than people realize. And I actually just kind of had this conversation with Rick, who was on episode 1 earlier tonight, actually. Yeah, about a couple hours ago. I was talking to him before you and me get ready for your interview, but this because I've got nothing that you know of ever took place prior to between David and Nettie in that house before David passed away, right?
Not that I know of, no.
Did you know if Kim had any experiences in that house before he passed away?
No, and she grew up here.
Okay, and Sissy didn't have any experiences at all?
No, and she grew up here too. They raised both of the girls.
So none of this started until 2013?
Correct.
So David passes away, and now he's haunting his house.
That's what the girls think.
What do you think?
I don't believe in ghosts, brother. I don't. So I'm at a loss here. I don't know what to think.
Well, I can tell you, it's not squirrels in the attic.
No, it's definitely not.
No, it's not squirrels in the. You don't believe in ghosts, but you don't live in a haunted house.
So
I've seen reflections of stuff in the window, but no, squirrels in the attic.
Well, and brother, you're right. You do write it off. So you see this crap out of the corner of your eye, and you're like, okay, so that wasn't. That was my reflection. But then you walk back and you confirm that it was not your reflection, and you're like, well, then it was something else. You do. You write it off.
Yep.
You write it off, and there's something I've never told anybody. Well, Kim knows. I've told her. So I do have dreams about David. Like I said, I knew the man, and I helped him do small repairs on the house and stuff when he was bedridden, things that needed to be done around here. And I dream about him. I have dreams when I go to sleep at night that me and him are sitting and talking, just like you and me are doing now. Nothing creepy or scary or anything like that. Just two guys having a chat, you know. And he told me one night, he's like, that yard's getting away from you out there. You need to get out there and pick up that yard. It's got a lot of limbs. The whole place is oak trees. I mean, tall as all get out, and they drop limbs like crazy. So, that kind of got me in my convictions. So I'm out there because this house was his baby. This property was his baby. He mowed and picked up limbs every single day until he got hurt,
Well, obviously, that's how he got hurt.
Yeah, so I'm out there picking up limbs, and I'm working feverishly on my day off, when usually I like to relax and kick back a little bit. And Kim's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, your grandpa's upset with me because the yard looks so bad, so I'm out here fixing it," stuff like that. But the most, I don't want to say crazy, but the one that got me the most was the upstairs bathroom is not finished, and Tinsley's getting older, and she needs a bathtub, to take a bath in. We have the bathroom downstairs just has a walk-in shower.
Yeah.
So we have one of these little tubs that you stick in the shower, to bathe your child in.
Yeah.
And she's 3 now. She's getting to where she's about to outgrow it. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure out this upstairs bathroom situation, because there is a tub up there where she could take a bath. So I go to sleep. I'm dreaming about David again. And when I took the water heater out of the water closet, there's a shutoff in there. And I turned the shutoff on just to see, if it had water going to it. It did not. So I'm like, okay, so this water's cut off somewhere else. So I'm talking to David that night in my dream, and he tells me that there's 2 cutoffs under the house. He says you'll have to go in through the front of the house because that's the only entrance, but you'll have to crawl to the back of the house because all the pipes are under the kitchen. And I'm thinking, great. He says, but you'll find, he said, there's 2 cutoffs back there. One's for the cold that goes directly upstairs, and the other goes to the water heater. I'm like, okay. And then he tells me, you know what a union suit is, or a onesie, coveralls that guys wear when they're working. He tells me, he said, he called it a union suit. He said, if you're going to crawl under the house, he said, I've got a union suit upstairs in my closet that you can wear. He says, I think it'll fit you. He said, but I'm going to warn you, the ass is out of it. A couple of days later, Kim is cleaning out some old clothes from the closet upstairs, and she comes across a pair of David's coveralls that would be a union suit, and the butt of it is all taped up with duct tape.
Aaron, your house is haunted.
That's what everybody tells me.
Aaron, your house is haunted. I'm telling you, your house is haunted. Because first off, I'm the biggest. I have a passion for this stuff. I really do, and for as long as you've known me, you should remember all that. So I have a passion for all the weird things that go bump in the night, and the creepy stories, and the creepy encounters, and everything. And I mean, it is. But I'm also the biggest skeptic.
Same.
And to where, and I've mentioned this before on, a couple of episodes already, but, like, I'm the biggest believer. I'm also a see it to believe it kind of guy. And, anybody that wants to come on to a podcast and tell their story, and they're not getting any fame or fortune out of it, obviously, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's something there. And it's where they're experiencing something. And, which is what I want to hear. And you have a haunted house. I'm not an expert. By no means, I'm no paranormal expert, because anybody who says they're an expert in the paranormal is trying to sell you something.
Right.
I'm knowledgeable. I've researched. So I'd like to say I'm pretty knowledgeable on the subject matter. Your house is haunted.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say that probably 3 or 4 more times, but your house is haunted. And to where this is like a playground. I mean, if Jacob was here, he'd be looking at me like a little kid in a candy store begging to go there right now.
You're welcome anytime, brother, and I promise you will not be disappointed.
Even if we don't encounter anything, I'll be hanging out with you, so I wouldn't be disappointed as it is. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking we'll get together off air, and we'll get some dates laid out and everything else like that, and we'll do this thing. But
definitely.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though is that. I mean, let me ask you a question. So, did you put the union suit on and go into the house?
I have not yet, but guess what I'm doing this weekend?
You better, because I think Dave was going to show on up, and he might throw some peppermints at you.
It sounds like it.
I mean, I can't wait to meet the guy. So, I mean, because this is what I'm looking at. I mean, first off, you're dreaming about the guy. The dreams you're having about him aren't your normal, typical dream, and you just pretty much stated that without saying it. Because I know it's a little embarrassing to share these things because you don't want to sound crazy, and you're afraid you're going to come off as crazy. You're not. But I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'm going to go ahead and just ask you. So the dreams that you're having of David, these aren't like a normal dream. This is actually like a reality situation, correct?
They seem real, but they are dreams that happen when I'm asleep. And I'll wake up in the morning and I'm thinking, well, that was a crazy dream, and it's just like in the dream, it's like I said, it's just like you and I are sitting here talking right now. It's just me and David sitting and chatting about things.
Well, where are you guys sitting and chatting at?
That's the thing. I don't really recall. I can see the house, like out in the yard maybe, but the surroundings, I don't really remember the surroundings. I just remember David.
Well, David remembers you, and I think, which is weird because David knew that he was going, but it sounds like, so he bought the house in 1954 and he built onto it all the way up until he couldn't.
Right.
And do you know what year was the accident that he got hit? Do you know that one?
I don't, brother. I'd have to ask Kim.
Okay.
So it would probably be the year before me and her started dating. So that would have been, let's see, Tuki's 23, so she was probably 4 or 5 when we started dating. So I'm going to say 20-ish years ago, maybe.
Okay, because I'm about to say, yeah, because I've known you for 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you were already with Kim when I met you. You guys were dating when I met you. I wasn't going to throw Kim under the bus about the vinaigrette dressing, but hey, Kim. Let's see here. But, yeah, so 20 years ago. Well, no, because that'd make it 2013. 2014. 2010. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, my bad. My math is off tonight. I'm looking at my notes. It said 2013, so that's why I'm saying it. So 2003, 2004.
Yeah, David passed away in January of 2013.
Okay, because the other thing, too, that you mentioned is what he did was that he got reclaimed wood, so from other buildings and built onto the house with, correct? Correct.
And you can tell because this wood is very, very old. I don't know if you know much about wood. I do because I used to frame and stuff. The wood that you get now is from forests that are fast grown, things. So the wood is not as dense. So
correct.
This older wood, like if you want to stick a nail in a wall, you're going to have a hard time. I mean, it's not going to go in easy. I mean, this is some thick, dense wood.
As it should be. Well, the only reason I bring that up as a reclaimed wood is because of wondering what buildings it came from.
I know of a few buildings. There was an old church.
There's one. Yep, ding, ding.
There was a railroad that he tore down.
A railroad or a railroad building?
Like the building, like the turnaround building
that
they had down in a little town right down the road from us called Kensett. That and a post office that they redid from Kensett is where most of the brick came from. Was from the railroad and from the post office.
But you do know that he's got reclaimed wood from the church.
Yes.
Well, what does that tell you?
It's Hollywood.
Yeah. Isn't that, yeah. It's better than Hollywood. But right. Yeah, I'll take Hollywood over Hollywood. But no, this is man. So well, how does this sound? So David pours all this energy into this house.
Correct.
And I just discussed this on an episode that's going to drop before yours, about energies and stuff like that, in the world, and about hauntings. And because I don't believe that every spirit is a demon and they're not out to get us. But what if, because David poured so much of this of himself into the house. I mean, the Blue Jay thing, and wait until Nettie passed away. But he didn't leave when Nettie passed.
Right.
And but Nettie was claiming hearing voices. Not one voice, multiple voices.
Yes.
Have y'all heard any voices?
I have not. I have never heard a voice.
Have the girls?
Not that I know of. Not that they've said.
Because I don't see how that just would stop unless the voices actually were part of her dementia. You know what I mean?
Right. Which is what we were chalking all this up to when she was here while we were gone. You know, when we would go to work or whatever and come home and she would tell us these things and we were like, yeah, you know.
Well, some of it is probably the dementia, let's be honest.
Right.
You know, like they're calling it, like, they're talking, they're looking for D. Because let's be honest, David's going to know that D's already passed.
Right.
So he's not going to be looking for his son.
Right.
And then you've got, so that's what I'm looking at. So with the dementia going on, the possibility of some of the paranormal that she was experiencing could be from the dementia. Y'all's paranormal, though, that's, I don't think all y'all are demented.
No, not quite there yet.
Still too early to tell, though. We haven't got the results back in yet. You know, but no, I mean this is a well, I mean, because it's either a residual, and what a residual is.
That's kind of what I like is the residual you're talking about, because I mean the first law of thermodynamics, you know, energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's the way I like to look at it. So What if it is the energy, you know, that this man had?
Yeah, but his energy is with it, though. It's still there. And the thing about it is, though, is that so at first I want to say with residual, but when you hit me with the dream stuff, dude, no, this is an intelligent. It sounds like you're dealing with David. It's like David is still there, that David has put this much energy into the house, and he still loves Kim, because you said that they raised Kim.
Yes.
As their own.
They did.
And so now in his mindset, that's his daughter with a granddaughter in the house. And that's Kim's only child, right?
Correct.
See? And obviously he had enough respect for you to talk to you to tell you how to fix his house.
Right.
Which was his pride and joy. The man numbered things and had his sons move it into the house and to fit perfectly. Come on, dude.
Right. And you can still see those when you come down. I'll show you his handwriting where he has numbered things where they go together. Look, it's like a puzzle piece.
I'm 100% with you, but you think about all the energy, all the hard work the guy put into this house.
Right.
He's still there. And you said it was unfinished upstairs.
Correct.
So in his mindset, the job's not done yet. I'm willing to bet if you were to put the energy in and start, getting up there, when you get I know you work all the time, but if you could finish upstairs and get everything going, he might leave.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't think you have anything evil or anything creepy or anything scary at all. I mean, he's a jokester, obviously, because he's trying to get you to wear, his blown, no-ass pants, let's just be honest.
Exactly.
But the way he's talking to you, hey, the yard's looking pretty rough, you need to get out there. We could play a whole bunch of scenarios off of that. Your subconscious looking at it, knowing that it needs to be done. Let's be honest, when you do have a house, you do see that stuff. You do know it has to be done. But for you to dream of, her grandpa telling you that it needs to be done was one thing. But then having him tell you how to fix the water heater, dude, you have to crawl under that house and tell me if that's exactly how it's set up.
I will. I definitely will. I'll know this weekend.
Yeah. Well, the weather's supposed to suck. Chance of rain all weekend long.
Yeah, well, if it's raining too hard, I won't be able to get under there. So
no, that's like the worst time of year to try and get under a house. It's Arkansas, man. Everything's soaking wet.
I know it.
Seriously, it's like you have to put in like a 50% chance of rain in the forecast every day because, well, there's a 50% chance of rain every day.
Exactly.
That's just kind of how I look at it. For reals. Anything else in the house that you haven't told us yet? Do you want to share?
No, that's all the experiences I've had. You might want to get the girls on here because they're here more than I am. Like I said, I work all the time. These are just things I've felt and experienced and noticed when I'm here. I've told you a few of the things that the girls have experienced, like someone sitting on the end of the bed with Kim. Both of the girls hear the same things I've heard. They've told me about.
See, but I wonder. I mean, I gotta be honest with you too. Though I'm wondering too, though, because I'm going that when you sit on the couch and you heard the sound, and Cece said, "Just wait till the stuff falls off." She wasn't sitting on the couch for that, on his couch.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah. See,
this happened to the stuff falling off the wall sound happened to her in the den. There are two chairs over on the wall where the windows are, and there are pictures above those chairs.
Right.
And she was sitting in one of those, and she thought the picture was falling on her.
Okay, so
you'll hear it. It'll sound like the sliding sound of a picture falling off or down the wall.
Yeah.
But there's never the thud at the end of it hitting the floor.
Yeah, I'm hearing it right now. So the other theory that I have too, though, is that when David passed away, the energy and everything kind of got released to his passing. Did he pass away in the house?
Yes, both of them did. Nettie and David both passed in the house.
Yeah, because we got the footsteps downstairs going towards Nettie's room, but I don't think that's her though.
Yeah.
Or that might be her residual energy going through there. Because you got to remember, she's lived there since 1954.
Yes.
I mean, that's a long time. With residuals, a lot of times it's just the same stuff happening over and over and over and over again because that much energy got put into it.
Yes.
And so, man, I tell you, I mean, no voices or anything. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll interview them. Yeah, we'll get a date set on up, and if Kim's okay with it and she's okay with it, we'll come on up and, we'll put together my little team, and we'll just pop on in and say, we have a date, obviously, so you're there and everybody's there. And I'll bring the recording and stuff, and we can record a little bit with them inside the house. I think, to me, that would be awesome.
Right. That would be good.
And so, yeah, we'll get something set on up, probably coming on up here, probably sometime after the first part of May.
Okay.
So we'll get something set on up. I got a pretty full plate up, and then I got some more going on. I got people right now that are wanting me to go on an expedition to go find the Ozark Howler.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. So I've been looking into that thing, and it's I love the South because I'm not from here. I love the South. I absolutely love the South. One thing I do love about the South, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is I'm not from down here. Is that y'all don't call grandma and grandpa grandma and grandpa? You got Mimi's and Poppies and
Yes.
all that other good stuff. So back in the day, though, is that they would always say, we'll stay out. Be careful of the boogers when you're out in the woods and doing this and doing that.
Right.
And so there's always this awesome, unique little name thing. And so I think the Ozark Howler is actually Bigfoot.
Ah, okay.
Because they're describing things with glowing red eyes and horns and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, that sounds kind of biblical to me. But, yeah, I actually think what they're hearing is going to be almost a Bigfoot. Some of the sounds, the recordings that people have allegedly captured, almost kind of sound like some of the things that I've heard from the Sierra Sounds and the Ohio sound. They got this really cool one in Ohio that's excellent. But yeah, crazy. But so I got people wanting me to go and do that one. I've got another project might be working on behind the scenes with another podcast, doing another expedition, ironic enough, up in the same area, so could be killing two birds with one stone. But, the whole, the paranormal side of the house, you do have a haunted house. And
I've been told that.
And I just curious. Do you talk to David when you're around or walking through the house or anything, or no?
Yeah, I do. I don't do it when the girls are here because I don't want them to think I'm crazy.
Oh, I don't think they're going to think you're crazy.
But you think that in your mind. You're like, if anyone heard me talking to someone who's dead, like they were still here, and I do. I walk around and I talk to them about things, and I got this thing in my mind when there's something that needs to be fixed or something that needs to be done. I always ask myself, well, David, what would you do? What would David do?
What would David do? So you need to have a sign made up in your house that says that. What would David do?
We have a sign in the garage. I'll have to show that to you when you come down.
Yeah, dude, you have to take a picture of those peppermints. I want to see the peppermints. I don't know what it is, but I'm stuck on this peppermint candy thing.
Most definitely, I will.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, seriously. I mean, yeah, you have to go. Hold on, let me take a picture. Here it is. Yep. I mean, and hopefully you can send it to me sometime in the very near future before I drop your episode, and I'll put it into the descriptions and I'll put it on the Facebook page when we do it.
Oh, I can definitely do it, brother.
So, and anything else you think that might be without giving away your location, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I don't want people just showing up at your house in the middle of the night. Then you will have somebody looking through the window, and it won't be reflection.
Right.
There'll be some ghost hunter people going, "Hey, hey, hey, there's the house." You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I just heard about a house in Little Rock tonight, and oh, dude, this sounds amazing. To where, well, not amazing. It's a horrible story. Apparently, this guy got fired from his job on Friday the 13th.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes home. He puts on a Halloween costume and kills everybody in his house. Wow. This is in Little Rock. Apparently, this is a huge thing, and I'm like, how am I not hearing about this?
I've never heard this either.
Yeah. So and I hang out with law enforcement. And so it was one of my good law enforcement buddies, and I'm not mentioning any names. And he was like, "Yeah, a lot of the officers over there, they all know the house quite well, and they've had problems with it when it's empty."
Oh wow!
I'm like going, "I got to get into this house."
Right.
So. Oh yeah, I love it. To where I love everybody's. Once I got this, the thing about it is I've always been into this stuff, and. I actually tried to do a ghost hunting group back in 2008. Actually, right. Yeah. And I did one ghost hunt. And the internet was still going pretty good. MySpace was the thing at the time.
Exactly.
Good old MySpace. And I was trying to get, ghost hunting stuff. And just because of my fascination with it. Right. And, the Ghost Hunter show... inspired me to be like, want to go through it. And so we did one ghost hunt, but if we'd had like the Facebook stuff like that, we probably would have gotten a lot bigger back then. But, what got me going to the podcasting side of it, the house, is, and how Drunken Cryptids got born, honestly, was, well, I had an encounter. I think I told you the story that took place with me in Fort Hood. The aha story. And I almost I always want to tell everybody because when we get going. But it was some years ago, and I was hanging out at a bar like most stories start off at. And we were just sitting there drinking, and one night we got on the topic of, ghosts and cryptids and stuff. And, we're just sitting there at a bar just telling these stories, and we started doing it more often. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool to get a podcast going. And kind of just left it hanging out there for a while. And then I was digging into, because the incident that, my encounter has bothered me so much since 2002, to where I'd research into it, and I couldn't find anything. And I happened to find a podcast. And it was Sasquatch Chronicles by Wes Germer. Excellent excellent. Wes, he interviewed me for an episode, and I was like, no answers yet. Right. So I started following some other podcasts. I started listening to them, and realizing that hey, if I can get my information out there, maybe somebody's had something similar. And can help me come up with an answer. because it makes no sense of what happened that night. None.
Right.
It has the qualities of Bigfoot, Dogman, ghosts. I mean, all night long. I mean, if it was weird, the only thing that didn't show up, I think, was Mary Poppins that night. I mean, it was so bad where the two soldiers that I had with me were crying, begging to leave the site that we were guarding.
Wow.
You know, and yes, it's a long encounter. It's not one I can just sit here and say, 5 minutes later. No, it's a pretty good encounter. But, you know, so through Wes and stuff like that, and I kind of wanted to get an idea on how I wanted to do a show. And, you know, I got a lot of my inspiration. And I've talked to, you know, the Justin over there at Cryptids of the Corn, and they're a good bunch. You get a chance, man, you give them a listen to. They do a great job. And so, yeah, I mean, get more stories out there, and we can all maybe try and come up with some answers. Because, you know, if you think about it, you piece the puzzle together, because my brain works where, you know, if I'm hearing an incident that takes place in Ohio, and then a similar incident's taking place over in, you know, Russia, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's a tie into there.
Exactly.
So, and I haven't quite figured out how to come up with a tie-in yet between, you know, the folk monster and the killings that took place in Texarkana in the 40s.
Right. Yes, I remember those.
Yeah, well,
I remember reading about them.
Yeah.
But I remember reading about
I was about to say, I didn't think you were that old.
I'm not. And I do. They made a movie about that also.
The Town That Never Sleeps, or something like that.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown,
yeah,
I believe it
was.
The
Town That Dreaded Sundown, yep, exactly it.
Yeah.
So that's what got everything going. But yeah, well, I tell you what we'll do is that we'll go ahead and get we'll get some of the details laid on out. I'll let you make sure that it's okay with Kim and Sis, and we'll get a good date down when you're going to be off work and I'm off work.
Sure.
You know, and then of course, you know, I'm kid free, so because I know my daughter would be all about this, but I'm not. No, she wants me to take her to the Crescent Hotel, so, and I'm just like,
oh goodness,
yeah,
that'd be great.
I don't know if you heard her episode on the Crescent Hotel, but she's YouTube. Yeah, I got YouTube. I was trying to figure out how she got so knowledgeable on the Crescent Hotel, and she looked at me. She goes, YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then I asked her if she wanted to do another episode with me. She goes, yeah, can we talk about the Stanley Hotel? I'm like, oh, gosh, Stanley? And so, in case nobody knows, Stanley Hotel is located out there in Estes, Colorado, and it was the inspiration. Estes Park, yep. It was the inspiration for The Shining, Stephen King's The Shining.
Yes.
So, and if you actually read his interview about that, and what inspired him even more when he was there, it's kind of creepy.
Yes, it is very.
So,
I'm a big Stephen King fan, so
yep.
I'm right there with Sam.
All right. Well, since we're on King real quick, I'm going to throw, what's your favorite King book?
It's a fantasy. It's one of the first ones that I ever read. I have so many favorites, but the first one that I ever read is called Through the Eyes of the Dragon.
That's mine!
And it has remained one of my favorites.
That was an amazing book.
It was great.
Oh, the little hidden passageways that they could walk through, and that's how he was spying on everybody.
Exactly.
I don't want to give too much away in case anybody has never read, but honestly, that was to me the same. I read this. Yeah. It wasn't the first one of his that I read, but it was probably like the third or fourth one of his. And I was just blown away by it.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Oh, it's amazing. Yep, Eyes of the Dragon. That's my favorite King book.
Yes.
And then I think my second one would probably be his collection. They did the Night Shift collection.
Yes, those are good. You really need to read The Gunslinger.
I did read The Gunslingers. I did enjoy the Gunslingers. Yeah, the Dark Tower series. Yeah.
Yes.
I did enjoy those, but yeah, the Night Shift collection was great, but always will be Eyes of the Dragon.
Yes, it's a good one.
It's amazing. Well, I tell you what, bro, it's getting late, so I do appreciate this, and we'll talk some more off air and everything going. So I'm gonna get.
All right.
So I appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem, anytime.
All right. Well, guys, that's another episode of the Drunken Cryptids. Thanks for listening in. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Please give us a like and a share. Please subscribe. The more likes, the more shares, the more subscribers, the more we get our name out there, and the more encounters and stories I can get for you guys. So, if you've had an encounter and you want to talk to me, go ahead and email me at drunkencryptids@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, obviously. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm still trying to figure the TikTok thing out at this time, so hey, work with me there. I'm old and I break electronics apparently when I touch them. But yeah, give us a shout and a follow, 5-star rating review. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thanks for liking us so much. And I do want to give a shout out to my buddy Gabe down there in Florida. He's got his own little program going on down there. Wants to do a crossover. We're thinking about doing a crossover here soon. Doing some interesting stops, and might be a video that I do with my daughter, touring a very unique site here in North Little Rock. So, other than that, thank you guys for listening in. I appreciate it. Y'all have a safe night. Cheers.